Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And I tell you what, I'm feeling peachy this morning. I'm feeling positive this morning because we're actually going to be talking about a little bit about the manager situation, but massively about other situations. Manchester United losing the transfer race for Darwin Nunez, who looks like Arsenal are winning that race at the moment. We'll talk about that. Also a story literally in the last hour linking us to Tammy Abraham. Some updates from the Barcelona president on the situation with Ronald Araujo and a few other transfer themes as well. But look, I'll hit you head on with the managerial situation. It's interesting, isn't it? Last night I did the story about how the two teams that are interested in Erik ten Hag are a German club and PSG. Within a few minutes of finishing that show, we had was it Jonathan Schrager coming out? He gets team news and stuff from United saying that it's an English club and a German club. So contradicting stories there. Look, the German club thing is clearly the accurate thing. I was told PSG are interested in him, and that was from numerous other people. Apparently, an English club's interested in him as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but to be honest, not massive developments to talk about the manager. I think we're all managered out at the moment, and we've fallen into the typical stage of Manchester United whereby they drag everything out, whether it's Harry Maguire for 6 weeks, Sancho for 2 years, Bruno for 2 transfer windows, and manager. They're just not quick. And ultimately, it's the thing I would say is that the question has to be asked, what's changed? What's changed? You know, you can get certain United fans who are close to the club saying, oh, they're doing their best, this, that and the other. We're looking for change. We're looking for change, Andy. I'm talking to Andy Mitten. We're looking for change, Andy. We're looking for change. Like, you can't defend the last 9 years, and fans are looking for change. They believe Erik ten Hag would be change. They believe a quick appointment would be change. Taking your time over everything isn't change. It's the same Matt Judge. It's the same Richard Arnold. It's the same John Murtagh. It's the same board, minus Ed Woodward. They've got an opportunity to change, and fans are saying they're not changing, and fans are getting pissed off again, and we know what happened a year ago. So they're walking that tightrope themselves. They're walking the plank, and they can't moan if they get pushed in. They need to move quick. We've been played. They briefed Erik ten Hag to please the fans, then went silent. They are stalling for Poch. The longer they wait, the more fans accept Poch as Dan. And exactly, is it more of the same? Is it change? And this is what we're waiting to see. And you know what? The first story I'm going to talk about, because we will come back to Ten Hag and who the English club could be, if that's true. But let's start off with the headline. United lose Nunez transfer to Arsenal. This is what we're talking about. This is what we are talking about. Transfers are being negotiated now, yesterday, last month and tomorrow. But United can't get involved because they haven't sorted their manager out. And you will get people who sit there and go, oh, what are you moaning about? You've got to do a thorough process. That's fine. That's your opinion. If you think taking weeks and weeks to get a new manager in is a good idea, well done. Sit down, enjoy your lasagna tonight and your pint and whatever you're having for your Saturday night dinner, enjoy it. But the reality is, a lot of people disagree with you. It's a bit like going for Poch. If you want to go for Poch, great. A lot of people disagree with you and want Ten Hag. But if you haven't got a manager in place, you can't speak to Rudiger and tell him what the project is. You can't speak to Nunez and tell him what the project is. You are basically losing out to other clubs who go, Darwin Nunez, Benfica, we really like you. Look at what we're doing. We're going to get Champions League football. We're desperate for a striker like you. Do you want to come to London and live in London and play for Arsenal in the Champions League? You know what? I do. I quite liked Manchester United, but what the hell's going on up there? Forget about them. They're a right mess. Come to London and join Arsenal. And that's what is going to happen. And unfortunately, that's what we're talking about this morning. Manchester United are no longer a front runner in the race to sign Darwin Nunez from Benfica. Whether we were a front runner or not, we spoke about him a couple of days ago. He is the perfect complete striker for us. He might not end up emulating his countrymen like Luis Suarez or a Cavani or a Forlan. He might not hit that level, but at 22, he's ticking all the boxes to do that. And what are we doing? We're waiting for Poch. Are we? I don't know, but we're certainly dithering on something. So look, yeah, Arsenal, lots of stories around. I don't know whether we've got many Arsenal fans watching actually, but lots of stories floating around the last couple of days that Arsenal have moved ahead. Now, West Ham actually made a move for Nunez in January, but it was knocked back by Benfica. Newcastle are interested. Newcastle are linked to every striker at the moment, whether it's Jonathan David, Darwin Nunez, Osimhen, Lots of strikers they're linked to. They want a striker, clearly. West Ham obviously are interested, but Arsenal are now the front runner in the Premier League for Darwin Nunez. Now, he has been linked to Atletico Madrid. United have been linked to him, but that has apparently gone very cold at the moment. And the suggestion is it's gone cold because United don't know what they're doing. And you could say that's the tagline for United, but that's not my point. My point is they don't know what they're doing because they don't know what's going to happen. My suggestion here, and this is completely speculative, so please don't go running away that this is going to happen. This is just a prediction. My prediction is we're going to get Pochettino and try and get Harry Kane. That's got United written all over it. Go and get the manager no one thinks you should get, and then go and buy a shirt seller like Harry Kane that nobody else is going to try and get. I think that's got United summer. That's a Glazer summer in a sentence. Pochettino to get us 4th place every year and uninspire the fan base, and Harry Kane to sell shirts and score goals, potentially. I think that's what United might be looking to do, because the fact that we're not even in the race for some of these players at the moment, it is worrying. It is worrying. Florence says Nkunku would be good because he literally plays everywhere in an offensive lineup. I think if Rangnick's advising the board, that's where they go. I think if they're ignoring Rangnick, they're going Pochettino and Kane. It's only an opinion. It's not coming from anywhere that you need to worry about it. I just throw it out there. This club just sucked the soul out of any excitement, says Andrew Lees. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. The board has failed the club for 9 years straight. What makes them think they know better than us fans who are more attached to the club, says Keshan. Well, it's an interesting debate, that, which I'm happy to have with anybody who thinks otherwise. So yes, Kane wants trophies though, says Connor. I tell you what. Are you buying that? I'm not buying that. I mean, this ain't a Spurs channel, but I think that's a load of crap. I think Harry Kane had run up the M6 to Man United if Spurs accepted a bid from us. I don't buy in for that trophy bullshit. Harry Kane will be exposed as the person who wants to move to a bigger club this summer, because if he comes to United, all this bullshit about leaving his childhood club Spurs to win trophies, he's got more chance of winning trophies at Spurs. So you'll see what Harry Kane's about this summer if he joins United, because we ain't winning trophies anytime soon. Hi Mark, I'm heading to Old Trafford next weekend. How do you think we will do? Any advice to get the full experience in the Stretford end, says Cathal Gaza? Well, you're in the right end for a start. There's not a wrong end to go to Manchester United, but Stretford end is the iconic end at Old Trafford, much the same as the Kop at Anfield. But I don't know. I always go to the pub at top at Sir Matt Busby Way. I've always gone in there. But there is the Bishop's Blaze if you want a bit of a sing-song. So yeah, I mean, just whack it on Twitter. You'll get lots of recommendations. It's been too long since I've been to Old Trafford, to be honest with you. Too long. I need to get up there. Osman would be great, says Constant Games. Already said it, but if we get Posh, I give up, says Charlie. So yeah, Nunez is the striker that I think we should go with. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I really think Nunez is the right player for Manchester United to go for. But obviously, you've got to be in the conversation for that type of player. He's one of the hot young properties in the world at the moment. And if you want that type of player, you need to be you need to be negotiating with him now. And we're not capable of doing that because we haven't sorted our manager out. So sit down, all these fans who say it's a good idea to take our time on the manager. Yeah, well, okay, if that's such a good idea, then why are we missing out on players while we're doing that? And at the moment, Arsenal secure top 4 position, Champions League football next year, good, developing, attractive football side with a secure manager, vision for the future, spot in the attack. I can see that happening, and I think Arsenal will improve massively with a player like that in there. I hope United can join that race, but I just don't see how we can join that race when we don't even know our bloody manager's going to be. So yeah, disappointed about that. We'll see. Look, it's not set in stone, but at the moment Arsenal leading the race for Darwin Nunez, and Manchester United, if it's a race for Darwin Nunez and there's a finishing line, Arsenal are running towards it. United are still putting the bloody shorts on. They're not even unboxed their trainers yet. We've not even started the race. How can we start the race? We haven't even got a bloody manager lined up. Leopards don't change their spots lest we forget, says Edward Walters. Arteta has reportedly been given 180 million to spend, and United apparently 150 million, which is ridiculous. The difference in backing is horrible, says Bin. Man, well, you know, that's one of the things as well. I don't want to turn it into an Arsenal show, but I think Arsenal fans have been very critical of their board, and quite rightly so. But the way that they've dealt with Arteta has been really the blueprint for what United should do with Ten Hag. Bring a manager in where there's... I mean, look, we're awash with examples. What Where was Arteta's Premier League experience before Arsenal took a gamble on him? Oh, right, he'd been a right-hand man at Man City. Football's awash with assistant coaches becoming managers and not doing well. Brian Kidd tried it. Steve McLaren tried it. And they were assistant coaches at Manchester United. Rennie Mullenstein, Carlos Queiroz, they've all tried to be managers and they've all failed. It's not easy to do it. And Arsenal took a punt on Pep's right-hand man and gave him the money, gave him the freedom, gave him the structure, and look at the benefits they've got. You've got some pundits now actually with their chest saying Ten Hag's a bit of a risk. He's a bit of a... Yeah, Champions League semi-finalist, one of the most innovative styles of football in modern football over the last 3 years. Rebuilt 2 sides. Most big clubs that interview him, but he's a big risk. And then you look at Arteta with no Premier League experience, no managerial experience, comes straight into Arsenal and rebuilds it in, 2-3 years? But he has had the freedom to do it, and he will get the backing in the summer because, of course, Arsenal's transfer budget is going to be bigger than what they expected because they've got Champions League football potentially. We are this way because of incompetence within the club and the people making decisions. Nothing will change unless the owners leave or sell, says Therese. Look, in relation to the owners, I personally I'm not massively encouraged by talk of protests and stuff like that. I think the way to change what's going on at Manchester United is through conversation, and I'll keep saying this until we've got a viable buyer. What are we protesting for? They're not going to hand over the club. They're not going to give us 55% shares. That's not going to happen. Look at what's happening at Chelsea. Chelsea have got so many people bidding for that club. They've said no to people and took a handful through to the next bidding stage. Like, if United was available, we would have a lot of queues. What we need to do is look at this football club as not the Glazers football club and as the fans football club, and have a representative body that is basically saying we want to take Manchester United Football Club back, and actually end up with some negotiations with people who want to buy the club. And I know that sounds really hypothetical because we can't sell it, but you almost need that mindset that the club's up for sale. We're the fans, it's our club, and we want to know who wants to buy the club, and we want to get behind somebody who's going to buy the club and take it to the next level. And then you go with the fans and that owner to the Glazers and say, look, you either sell up or it gets difficult. But all I ever hear is, and I understand it, I understand the frustration, I really do, but all I ever hear is we're going to get this game cancelled again, we're going to protest again. But it didn't work a year ago. And where was it going to go a year ago? It was brilliant that the fans showed. The big positive about a year ago was that the fans came together and showed how much this club means to them. But where was that going to end? Like, I can't see the Glazers giving up half of the club to the fans, and I can't see the Glazers selling, and the fans can't afford to buy the club. So you need a buyer. I think there's if you really want to get the Glazers out, you need to approach it in a different way. And I'm not sure protest is the way to do it. But the encouraging thing is, look at Chelsea. There would be so many people interested in buying United. You've just got to find that group or consortium or owner, and then you're in a position. And I've said that for about 18 months now. You need an owner. You need somebody who will buy the club, and then you've got the fans behind them, and then suddenly you oost them, you get them out, because you've got a viable option, and we haven't got that viable option at the moment. Anyway, on with the show. So Nunez, Arsenal is looking more likely than Nunez to Manchester United. Now, interestingly, the Daily Mail this morning were talking about Tammy Abraham to Manchester United. Manchester City and Manchester United interested in Tammy Abraham. What are your thoughts on Tammy Abraham to Manchester United? Formerly Chelsea, obviously he's now playing in Roma, had a very good season in Roma. Look, my interpretation of Tammy Abraham very, very quickly is he's not particularly mobile, he's not particularly agile, his link-up play is average. Now, people will say he's actually quite good. What about average means crap? His link-up play is okay. Like, I don't think it's amazing, and I don't think it's awful. It's okay. And in and around the box, he's quite effective. But for me, he is no better than strikers that we've had at this club over the last 5 years that haven't done well. The laziest comparison is to say Lukaku. I think there are differences between Tammy Abraham and Lukaku. You could easily say Danny Ings or someone like that. But is that what United need? I don't think it is. And certainly not for £100 million. I wouldn't pay £40 million for Tammy Abraham, and Roma wouldn't sell him for anything less than 60. So for me, that's just a big, massive waste of time. Hopefully that's just United being linked to him because he's a striker. Because, God, if we're going for Tammy Abraham for over £70 million, I mean, that would just be pure banter. What is it? Because he's got an English passport. I mean, let's just put that down as hopefully there's nothing going on with that, because I just wouldn't go anywhere near that deal. He's had a very good season in Italy. I'm not saying he's a bad player. Obviously, he's part of the England setup now, but it's so hard to read the Italian league comparable to the Premier League. I mean, Ashley Young went there and looked like the best player in the league at times. It is a very different league to play, and Premier League players tend to do very well going from the Premier League to Serie A. You don't always get it the other way around. Don't think it's wrong for pundits to say that Erik ten Hag is a risk. Every appointment is. What is wrong is that these pundits blindly think Poch isn't one, says Muyad, which is a great point. Overrated English player, says Anthony. Have you actually watched Tammy Abraham, says Blues fan 04. No, I haven't. I mean, literally, I just did a Wikipedia search today. I've never watched him in my bloody life. Never watched Italian football. Never watched him play for England. Never watched him play in the Premier League. Got no idea what he's all about. I'm predicting he's probably 5'5", sort of Audi Messi version, but we don't need anything like that. No, I've never watched Tammy Abraham, but I really don't think he's the right player for Manchester United. Has to be one of the most idiotic responses I get quite regularly. I bet you've never even watched him play. I'll have watched Tammy Abraham play live with you watching me watch Tammy Abraham play. That's the funny thing. I do watch-alongs on That's Football. Join me for England versus Switzerland today, where we might get to see Tammy Abraham play. But on a serious note, I am doing England versus Switzerland. But I get people in the chat going, bet you've never watched him play. I'll have done live watch-alongs, watching particular players play, at least 2 or 3 times, and people go, bet you never watched him play. I've watched Italian football since 1990. I love Italian football. I know a lot about Italian football. And I know a lot about Tammy Abraham. And I know enough not to think he's good enough for Manchester United. It doesn't mean I'm wrong, but it's such a lazy argument to go, bet you've never seen him play. Fucking hell. Who's the next one? Oh, I bet you've never seen Lionel Messi play. I bet you've never even watched Bruno play. Just accept somebody's got a different opinion to you and grow up. I mean, this is the big problem in the world at the moment, isn't it? Especially around football. If you have a different opinion to somebody else, you've got bad football knowledge or you've never watched them play before. No, it's called an opinion. Grow up and understand that some people will have a different opinion than you and maybe construct an alternative opinion that generates a debate to develop the conversation. Because that is just childish. I don't think Tammy Abraham's good enough. I don't think he's mobile enough. I don't think he's agile enough. I think his link-up play is pretty average. And I think he's playing in a league where it's very difficult to understand whether that's transferable to the Premier League. I would put Tammy Abraham on a level with Danny Ings. And I don't want Danny Ings at Manchester United as our future. And actually, one thing I hadn't really considered about Tammy Abraham, which I really should do, is his age, 24. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a massive problem with his age. He'll be 25 by the time he moves, if he moves in the summer, because he's 25 in June. I mean, it's not a bad age, but most of the strikers we've been looking at, like Nunez, David, Osman and Isaac, they're all 22, so 3 years younger. So I think what I want with Man United striker is the potential to be a superstar. Do you think Tammy Abraham's got the potential to be a superstar? I don't think he is. I think he's half decent. I think he's a backup striker. But remember, we're not looking for a backup striker. We're looking for a striker that will take over from Ronaldo. We're not looking for a backup striker, and I think some people think we are. And also, the big line as well. Are you seriously telling me you'd spend 70, 80 million pounds on Tammy Abraham? Because if you are, you need to get out in the sun today and get a bit of fresh air, because that's ridiculous money. What did Roma pay for him? I bet you've never seen De Gea play. He's clearly the problem, says Butterpants. No, never watched David De Gea play as well. Come live with me in America, says Ike. And sorry to go off topic. Varane has a small foot problem. Do you think he'll be back for next week? I think he'll be fine, Daniel Kirk. I saw that as well. I wasn't even going to mention it, so thank you, Daniel. So Deschamps said that Didier Deschamps says that Varane's got a bit of a foot problem, but I think he'll be okay. I mean, Look, I don't want to dwell on this. There is a bit of an issue. I've said this before. Welcome to the Members Club, Mason Hughes. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thanks everyone who becomes a member, by the way. I've been saying it for a little while, but it's there's some exciting stuff coming for our members very, very soon. Certainly before the end of the season. So thanks for everyone who supports the channel. Two really good exclusive things that will be there for our members. So thanks for supporting the channel. Obviously you get your little badge next to your name in the chat so we know who the members are. Only English centre midfielder we should consider is Ward-Prowse, says Julian. Funny thing is, I think Erik ten Hag would like someone like a James Ward-Prowse. To be honest, I think Poch might do as well. In relation to Varane, I do worry about his injury record, and I think that hopefully next season he can get over it. But the older he gets, the more it might become a problem. It's interestingly though, because we've been linked to Ronald Araujo of Barcelona. Again, I think he's Uruguayan as well, isn't he? So we've been linked to him. Apparently the offer that we've made wages-wise is a lot more than Barcelona. He's not out of contract. He's out of contract in a year, so we'd have to pay Barcelona. The president of Barcelona, is it Laporta or someone like that? He's come out and spoken about Xavi and... is it Gavi or Xavi? I'm rubbish on names. And Araujo, and said that we're working on it. We've got a wage structure. We want them to stay, and more importantly, they want to stay. So... remember, we spoke to Romano about this. I think there is some United fans who are getting very excited about maybe getting Araujo from Barcelona, but I agree with Fabrizio on this. It's just got the feel of let's use a Premier League club, United, who's going to offer him massive wages to push Barcelona to a wage that you want to accept. I mean, ultimately, Barcelona are heading places. He's only 22. Barcelona are heading places. If he can get a decent wage, he's going to stay at Barcelona. And I think they're just trying to... I think if there's 300 grand a week, look, it won't be that. If there's 200 grand a week on offer from United and there's 120 grand a week on at Barcelona, I guarantee you'll go with the Barcelona offer, because it's just not about the money, is it? It's about staying where you want to stay, part of a project that you want to be part of. PK's not got long left. He's going to be the centre-back of Barcelona for the next 10 years. So come to Manchester United, you might sit on the bench for Harry Maguire. As much as we can get excited about these sort of signings, it's a bad move for his career. It's a good move for his wallet, but it's a bad move for his career, and not every player thinks about their wallet. Just a reminder, Tammy plays in the same league where Darmian, Lukaku and Mkhitaryan shine. Serie A is not the same as the 90s. Tammy's not the answer, says Amar. Also, we've got Slow Sports News says since his career started at Chelsea, they haven't played him a whole season, year on year, and he's been loaned 3 times before going to Roma. Says, yeah, look, the unfortunate thing for Tammy Abraham is he's 24 and he will get better, but there's a lot of evidence that he's not what we need, and certainly not for 60 million quid. I don't agree with the article, to be honest, because it actually has Man City linked to him as well. Why would Man City want Tammy Abraham? I don't know where that story's coming from. Well, I do know where it's coming from. It's coming from the Daily Mail, but it makes absolutely no sense that Man City or Man United would want to spend £80 million on Tammy Abraham. It really doesn't. I mean, God, I'd expect us to buy more than Man City. Don't know what Pep would be looking at there. Ricardo Fidalgo, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. And also Maina, really appreciate it. So yes, Araujo looks like he's going to stay at Barcelona, which is what we expect. Slow Sports News, says Emma. Slow Sports News, I've already mentioned it, but tonight England play Switzerland. I'll be doing a watch along on That's Football tonight at 5:30, and we'll also have Slow Sports News, because we do it every day. I lost it there. Slow Sports News, yellow tie, Audi driver, country nut, cornflakes for breakfast. 8 o'clock tonight on the United Stand. 8 o'clock. Slow Sports News, because we do it every night. There you go. Bit of that. Nunez would be perfect, says Daniel Kirk. Good finishing, good heading, and reach top speed in the Champions League, so he's absolutely on it. You see, I'll be honest, I haven't seen loads of Darwin Nunez. I've probably only seen him play about 4 times this season, but I like him. I like the research I've done on him. I like the statistical side of his game when you compare him to other strikers. Obviously, he's in the Portuguese league, but I really do like him. And one thing I've obviously missed is, from what I'd seen of him, he didn't look particularly fast to me. But Daniel Kirk says he actually is. So if he has got pace as well, he's going to end up. If he ends up at Arsenal, Arsenal will be deadly next season. If he transfers even 80% of his ability from Benfica to the Premier League, he's going to be a very, very good striker. He's an all-rounder, and he's going to cost money. Obviously he's going to cost money, but he's probably going to cost about 60 million quid. And I can't see United spending 60 million on him, but who's the alternative for United? If we don't get Nunez, we did the video the other day, if we don't get Nunez, who for me is the number one, are we going for Isaac? Isaac's dodgy. He is dodgy. He's good, but he's not prolific. He's got development, of course, but he's not prolific. That worries me. Jonathan David, I'm not convinced about him. Osimhen, I don't think will leave Napoli for anything less than 70 million. So he's more expensive than Nunez. Yeah, so I don't know where we're going to go. Adeyemi looks like he's going to Dortmund. Unless somebody knows, or Ralph Rangnick knows, some absolute superstar striker that's playing that no one's really talking about. I just don't know who we're going to go with. But Nunez would be the one for me. And if Arsenal get him, he's a fantastic signing. He really is. Anyway, let me go back to where we started. I've absolutely loved the show this morning because we haven't actually spoken about the managerial situation that much. And I think we needed it. I think we needed a breather from it because it's been a week that was exciting at the start. Manchester United did interview Erik ten Hag at the start of the week, and then ever since then, what have they done? We've had nonsense about interviewing Luis Enrique, which we all knew as fans at Christmas time, actually in November when he was mentioned. Man United fans have known for 6 months that Luis Enrique will not take the United job in the summer because he's going to manage Spain in the World Cup in December. So why his name is still being thrown out there is actually treating fans like mushrooms and feeding them shit. Like, we are not going to get Luis Enrique. Interviewing him is a waste of oxygen. Lopetegui is crap and nowhere near good enough to take the United job. Just look at what has happened to his career when he's had big jobs in the past. It's Pochettino versus Ten Hag, and I basically fear that what's actually happening here is that they've interviewed Ten Hag. They could give him the job, they could offer him the job, he would probably take the job, but they want Pochettino, and they can't get Pochettino out of PSG. So basically, they've interviewed Ten Hag, probably for a bit of positivity, and now it's backfired because people are like, well, why aren't you giving him the job? Oh, we want to interview other people. Who are you interviewing? You can't give Mancini the job now. You can't give Brendan Rodgers the job now. You can't interview Luis Enrique, he won't take it. Zidane doesn't want it. Lopetegui's not good enough. Who are you going to interview? It's so obvious that you're waiting on Poch. And that's where we are with United at the moment because it's all gone very, very quiet. But there was the story last night that I covered about a German club advancing in their quest to get Erik ten Hag. So much so that there's potentially even an offer there if he wants to take the job. It's whether he wants to take the job. I was told that PSG are interested in Erik ten Hag, and I've got no reason to disbelieve that. I can't believe that people haven't mentioned PSG because if they're looking to replace Pochettino, he will be on the list. It doesn't mean they're offering him the job. There's interest. But then we got this other story last night that there's an English club interested. Well, this really interests me because, for one, it's not just agent talk from Erik ten Hag's side to make United hurry up. There is genuine interest. If you've actually done your research on Erik ten Hag, there's an interesting thing here as well. I was reading an article last night that got put in our group chat, it was a Dutch article, and it was basically saying that Erik ten Hag is a certain personality where he likes everything to be set up. Not that it's an easy job, but he likes structure. He likes to go into a club that's got structure. And obviously when he came to Ajax, the structure was in place. He likes a club with structure, and he loves managing Ajax. And it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility if the wrong job for him was offered to him, he would stay at Ajax for another year. If there is an English club interested in Erik ten Hag, who is it? Because people will say, Mark, if you were the United manager, would you loan Shoretino? Yes, I would. Aaron Boomer, yes, I would. But if it is an English club, let's just humour this story for a minute, because I'm not actually sure it is. Who would the... and Aya says the German club is Dortmund. I don't know who the German club is. Dortmund makes a lot of sense, but they have got a manager and they are second in the league. Leipzig makes a lot of sense, but they've only just replaced the manager. So who it is, I don't know. I believe PSG will be interested. But if there is an English club interested, as was reported last night, my prediction is that it's Man City. Because people will say it's Newcastle. Newcastle are over the moon with Eddie Howe. They're not going to sack Eddie Howe to get Erik ten Hag in the summer. So it's not Newcastle. People say it's Everton. If Frank Lampard keeps Everton up, they'll give him next season, so it's not Everton. And if Everton get relegated, Erik ten Hag will not manage Everton in the Championship, so it's not Everton. Obviously, it's not Liverpool because they've got Klopp. It's not Arsenal because it's got Arteta. I don't think it's Spurs because they've got Conte, and unless they know they're going to lose Conte, so it could be Spurs. But Spurs interviewed him last summer and decided no, apparently. So it could be Spurs. It's not going to be Chelsea. It could be Leicester. The three I think it would be is probably Leicester, Spurs and Man City. The reason I think it could be Man City is because Man City have long been admirers of Erik ten Hag. And I think if Pochettino wins, if Pep wins the Champions League, he's done his job at Man City. And I think Pep's plan is to win the Champions League this year or next year. And I think there's a good chance that Pep Guardiola will be gone by next summer. In which case, Man City are such a well-run club, they'll be planning their manager for next summer now. And they might have had a conversation with Ten Hag and said, we want you as Pep's replacement, but it won't be till next summer. So if Ten Hag stays at Ajax for another year, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to Man City. But it could be not Man City and it could be Leicester. But there will be clubs interested in this manager. There will. And it's not just the agent talking. There will be people interested in him. I just wish our club was aggressively interested in him as we should be, because I think at the moment, in the absence of evidence, and look, sometimes you've got to make a statement. Sometimes you've got to come out with something. There will be people out there that say that United don't have to say anything. You know, that it's their prerogative to go quiet. They can do whatever they like. Of course they can, but they're very aware of social media. They're very aware of public perception. And the reality is, it came out on Tuesday that Erik ten Hag had been interviewed. It's now been 5 days since that. It's probably going to be a week before we hear anything. They need to put something out there. They do. They need to put something out there because they're paying the price now. People are getting pissed off. People are getting frustrated. 2 + 2 = 4 at the moment. And look, we could get a news story in the next 10 minutes. We could get a news story tomorrow. We could get something that develops it on Monday. But where we are right here, right now, a lot of people are jumping to the assumption that basically they're waiting to get Pochettino. Because if you've interviewed Erik ten Hag, why has it not been developed beyond that? Why have you put it out there? You've interviewed him and you want to interview other people. He did a good interview. He's a good candidate for the job. Why don't you give him the job? Because obviously they're not overawed with that option, are they? If they want to interview other people, they're obviously not made their mind up. And I think at the moment, it's a fair assumption to say they're waiting on Pochettino. And that's not a good look for the club. It just keeps it. And what happens next week? United come back next week and start playing football again. And even if we beat Leicester, we're still going to be reminded of the fact that Arsenal are miles ahead of us. We are a week away from being back to reality. Back to reality of looking at the league table, a live league table that doesn't lie and says we're miles off. A live Champions League quarter-final that doesn't have us in it. FA Cup semi-finals that don't have us in it. We're coming back. You might feel a bit frustrated at the moment. That frustration is going to bubble up again very, very soon because we're going to be absolutely woken up by the fact that this season has been an absolute joke, and we still don't know who the manager is. And I don't. This ain't me being negative. This is just me reading the situation, and the club needs to be aware of this, and surely they are. If anything, this 2 weeks and the talk of the manager has actually calmed the fans a bit. Yeah, there's frustration about get the job done. We need to get a manager done because we're missing out on signings, etc. There is that frustration. But it's going to ramp up massively in the next 2 weeks because if they don't appoint a manager and they keep it quiet and everyone assumes they're going for Pochettino and then the players come back next week and we realise, God, we're crap and this, that and the other, it's going to get higher and higher and higher. And they need to manage this in a much better way. But having said that, how do you you can't polish a turd. If their intention is to go for Pochettino, of course they're going to be quiet because it's not like there's nothing they can do. Oh, let's get another article out about what Pochettino did 3 years ago. Oh, let's talk about him getting top four times in 5 years. Oh, don't talk about him getting sacked by Spurs. Don't talk about what's going on at PSG at the moment. Oh, let's talk about what he did at Southampton. I mean, there's only so many times that can get put out and get ignored because no one's taking any notice of it, are they? So I suspect the quiet at the moment is that they just don't know how to work this because they want Pochettino, but they don't know how to work it because the overwhelming feeling is that that's a mistake. More chances of Ronaldo staying if Portugal qualifies, says Sir Nigel Farage. Yes, massive game on Tuesday night for Cristiano. I love it. I love to see him in the World Cup, and they should get there now. It's opened up for them a lot easier than I thought. The Turkey game, they ground it through in the end. They should have been comfortable, but they let them back in. And obviously, North Macedonia's shock against Italy really makes Portugal favourites. And it's funny how football can change very quickly, isn't it? It's funny how a negative can become a positive because it looked difficult for Portugal. It looked like they were going to have to beat Turkey and Italy to get to the World Cup. They beat Turkey and now they've just got to beat North Macedonia, and Ronaldo will be in the World Cup, which is unbelievable if he hadn't have been. And look, forget Ronaldo, Man United player. Let's think about Ronaldo, the GOAT. And it would have been so sad. This is his last World Cup. Imagine if they hadn't qualified for it. So I'm really... Look, he's not done it yet. North Macedonia, respect. They could cause a shock. Portugal are capable of losing these sort of games. We've seen them before, but look, they've got it in their hands. If we win every game, we will get top four, believes Sir Nigel Farage. Yep. Can't see us winning every game. Zero Blade says North Macedonia to knock Portugal out too. Could happen. Could happen. Anyway, look, we're back at 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Tune into That's Football later on. If you like the F1, I'll also have live updates of the qualifying for the F1, but it is an England versus Switzerland watch-along. The F1 watch-along is tomorrow, but qualifying's on when England versus Switzerland are on. So looking forward to that. We might get to look at Tammy Abraham and Harry Maguire in his pink boots. I'll catch you all later. I really enjoyed the show this morning. Not having to talk about Pochettino versus Ten Hag for the whole show was actually quite refreshing. And I think it's a stark reminder as well of the fact that other clubs are negotiating for players that we can't negotiate for because we haven't sorted the manager out yet. And that is something that I have been talking about and you've been talking about for a while. Coming out of this international break without a manager is massively hindering our ability to negotiate deals with players because there's too much uncertainty. But slow sports news is Manchester United, isn't it? We're so slow at doing anything, and I don't think that's a good thing. Take care, everyone. I'll see you later on That's Football. Have a good day, whatever you're doing, and I'll speak to you all later. And I really enjoyed the show, so thank you for spending it with me. Thanks to the new members. You can do that by clicking the join button. Smash a like on the video.